our underlying animal nature drives what might be termed pain in general and pain avoidance dynamics, fear, safety, and control dynamics, and what we might term predatory taproot feeding and survival drives, which are basically sociopathic, even psychopathic, and narcissistic. These drives have driven us as a species to evolve and become more and more complexified as time goes by. And they are developmental glass ceilings. They cost too much. They are voracious and insatiable. They are what is driving us as a species to devour our planet, to pollute and destroy and create global climate change without conscious recognition of the meaning and implication of our unconscious drives and choices. This is the cycle of human evolution, and it generates what we would term simulacra, which are embodied memories and recordings of referenced memory that are generally based in dualistic dynamics of attachment and aversion. So any historical I thought you have, I thought I was this, I thought I was this religion, I thought I was an American, I thought I was a human being, I thought I was spiritual. All of those prior I thoughts are being constantly reprojected in every moment within each of our systems and regenerating the past over and over and over again. So transcendence of all I thought dynamics are key and core to consciousness. Any sense of I in your system, we would suggest, is a glass ceiling evolutionarily. It's a necessary stepping stone or a step on the ladder of consciousness, and it will in some point hold us, you or us, or any group that we participate in, or any nation back, and it'll hold the whole species back in some way. Fear of pain drives safety and control seeking. Fear of not being able to continue feeding on sensory input or on food or water or technology or fun or drama drives that. One moment. This is both individualized development and as a collective, that's true. The consensus consciousness is the soup that we all swim in as individuals and collectives, and as well as the tribal dynamics, as well as cultural dynamics, as well as codified law and political dynamics, as well as economic dynamics. We're all operating within that soup. If we continue to operate within that soup without transforming it consciously, then it will define our options and choices and limit our potential as individuals and a collective in the near term and in the long term. All of the world must be transformed in very fundamental ways, literally all the life process of humanity, if we wish to develop a sustainable life process for our species. And that life process must, to some degree, be standardized if it's going to be collaborative, if it's going to be orchestrated strategically and globally. That must occur with individuals. Within individuals, it must occur within all collectives. It must occur within all nations, and it must occur within all cultures. That means a lot of healing of prior experienced memories of pain and suffering and wounding within individuals and the collective. And so it's imperative that the WSS and the social movement engine be a healing mechanism for all of humanity and a cultural transformation engine for all of humanity. That means dealing with these root issues. We've got 4 of these slides that'll be available on the Friday meeting that show the evolution of this foundation mechanism as it evolves into ever more complexified personality dynamics and ego process, and mind, meaning that mind is an outgrowth of ego. Well, decentralization works very well as long as it is a part of a strategic process that is aligned and evolutionarily supportive of a sustainable future for humanity. So it's necessary for decentralization to occur. It's also nice and important that it be orchestrated and synchronized. And if it's not orchestrated and synchronized, you can end up with a non-synchronous process, such as a heartbeat going into fibrillations, where all the cells in the heart beat out of time with each other. Therefore, they don't affect, the heart doesn't pump blood. And if you don't have a synchronizing signal called the sinus rhythm in the heart cells wouldn't know how to row, so to speak, all in time with each other and effectively pump blood. So decentralization, great, even necessary. That said, conscious decentralization, orchestrated, strategic decentralization, absolutely beneficial, absolutely necessary, and defining a comprehensively new strategy of effecting decentralization, including collaborative teams of teams globally that operated as an orchestrated whole, a complete process that is evolving in sync with everything else, is now feasible via artificial intelligence, hardware and software infrastructure, via the internet in all of its future evolutionary permutations, and via the social movement engine as it's currently envisioned to operate in the near future. Next slide. And I recognize our time is running short and I apologize. So the next slide here is, it seems similar to the other, and it's an evolution from that prior slide, meaning fear is in the moment for an animal that doesn't have memory, such as a reaction of a lizard to not being eaten by a bird, is different than memorized or remembered or recorded pain, and that we then fear being replicated in future within our system. So the advent of memory created a tendency to fear replication of pain and to project imagined possibility of future pain onto life, which, and in a magnified form, not an accurate form, meaning we through imagination, we have the capacity to envision future pain as being worse than what we actually experienced in the past, or to misinterpret prior pain and magnify it in order to save ourselves from potential future pain, either through our own decision-making and use of our own personal power, or other people's effects on our systems. So those kinds of pain fear are imagined to be beneficial in some ways. We can say, oh, I'm a victim from the past, therefore I'm a victim, and I'm going to use my victimhood as a way of empowering myself socially in the future and of controlling other people's effects on my life. So I'm going to say, because I was victimized in the past, I can now become a perpetrator of victimhood on others, and rationalize doing so as a supposed justification for uncaring, unloving actions in the future. Also our fears of abandonment and our fear of death that we project and imagine onto the future are processes of imagination. The book A World Without Fear describes these dynamics in relative detail. It's for free on the WSS website, in the Teams channel if you become participant in there, along with a book called Enter the Era of Empowerment, which is also available for free to all team participants in electronic form. This cycle of human evolution of remembering pain, wounding, fear of pain, fear of future wounding, fear of future victimization, real or imagined. It doesn't have to have actually occurred for us to imagine that we were victims, that we were hurt, that we were wounded, that we did experience pain. And the words fear and pain become synonymous terms. Just imagining future possible pain is painful. It's not happening in this moment, and we can feel the pain of what it would be like if it happened. That is a debilitating dynamic, as well as an informing process to an extent. How consciously we approach these dynamics is key and core to how useful it is or how debilitating it is as we make choices, hopefully consciously or subconsciously make decisions as our lives unfold.